Hey there everyone, and welcome to another Friday video. Today it's time to pull apart the Paludarium, but it's also time to see it be put back together into something new. So it's a longer video today, so grab a few snacks and I hope you enjoy. Alright guys, so here it sits, the empty tank. I didn't record any of the process of me removing the background and the fish because I was much more concerned with getting the fish out of the tank and stressing them out as little as possible. So I didn't worry about the recording any video at that point, but I will show you where I put the fish. They are in my 40 breeder right now in some containment nets, just for the time being until this tank is back up and running for them. But I did want to show you guys, I did manage to get the background out in pretty much one piece, which is amazing. It kind of just, I cut some parts of it loose and it just popped right up, so that worked out perfectly. So I'm going to work on breaking this apart and salvaging that driftwood that's in there, because it is going to be, I'm going to let it dry out and reuse it again for the rebuild of the Paludarium, as well as some other things I did get for it, which I'll show you guys later on. And the plants, they are sitting over here in my spare 20 gallon. I have the lid on there to reserve the humidity, and I'll be spraying them down pretty well, but I saved some of the dirt to get all the little microfauna to repopulate the tank once it's rebuilt. For some of the Altalanthra reneki, moss, and then I saved a good bit of these plants too. And I'll probably end up adding some more plants later on once the Paludarium settles back in. I have some choices in mind, but I'm not quite sure which ones I'm going to go with as of yet. Alright, and the fish are in here. You can see there's the big male pistogramma. He's kind of spazzing out a little bit right now. He gave me the most trouble trying to get him out of there. But he's in good shape now. He's looking really nice. I put all the tetras in this one just to keep them separate, and the leftover cherry shrimp that were left in that tank after the pistogrammas, I think, kind of ate the rest of them. And then I put the female pistogramma, and surprisingly enough, as I was tearing things down, I managed to find like about 8 fry that were growing up in there. Originally I thought there were just 2 because that's all I ever saw at the same time, but there were about 8 of them, so that's awesome. So once they grow out, I'll figure out what I want to do with them. And I did save some of the plants too, just to reuse those. Alright guys, so I've got the tank all cleaned out now, glass is clean, got it scrubbed down, ready to re-drill it. But I started looking and I may actually not need to re-drill it. Alright guys, so I have the tank sitting here on its side. Before I talk about the what I've decided about drilling it, let me show you guys what I used to clean the glass first. It's just some regular 70% alcohol. You can get this at Walmart, drugstore. It's usually I think it's usually under about $1. And I usually have a bottle on hand just in case. So that's what I use to do that. But anyways, talking about drilling the tank now. I've kind of made played with the the driftwood a little bit, what I want to do with the arrangement there. And you can see he's got these 3 hash marks on here. This is where the original water line was, right about. This is where I was thinking I wanted it to be. But I think I'm going to go right here, right about the midpoint. And playing with the driftwood arrangement, where everything's probably going to be sitting. That's going to work out perfectly fine. And you can see it's actually still below. Well, let me give you guys a better angle. It's actually right below where the sponge for the intake would be. So I'd still be well below the water line for the canister filter to run. So I think it actually worked out perfectly. I don't have to drill the tank. Not that I have an issue doing that, but it's just one less step I have to take. And it just kind of makes the process go a little bit easier. So one of the biggest issues I had with the last design of the Paludarium was that it was really difficult for me to get to the substrate to clean it because of all the branch work. So what I did was I cut back some of these pieces of wood in order to have them sitting a little further from the front to make that a little bit easier. And just like the last time I built the Paludarium, I'm going to be using the Great Stuff Pond and Stone Spray Foam. Once this cures, it is completely aquarium or pond safe, and it's really easy to work with. I bought 2 cans thinking I would need both of them this time, but I ended up just using the one. And after letting the foam dry for a few hours, I went ahead and started to carve it out. There were still a few sections that were a little bit wet, but as I carved away, they kind of dried and they cured rather quickly. This part of the process probably takes the most amount of time, but if you're patient with it, you can really kind of form some areas and really get some insight into how the tank is going to look. Once I was done carving the background to where I wanted, I started applying the black silicone in order to stick the coconut fiber onto the background. While doing that, I also came up with the idea to leave this opening in the background, which we'll discuss a little bit more later on. And in order to make the waterfall area on the right hand side of the screen there, I used the same technique as with the coconut fiber, except I put in some larger river stones and then sand instead of the coconut fiber. And the next day, once the coconut fiber had dried onto the background, I shook off the extra and I went ahead and started gluing on the more detailed root work onto the background.
For this, I ordered up something special from Aquarium Co-op. I ordered the Spider Driftwood Nano Twigs pack, which came in really handy to add some detail. I even got more detailed with this design, using some of the really small twig pieces to kind of really fill in the background and give a jungle vine effect. And once everything was dry, I stood the tank upright, trimmed away any extra silicone or foam, and blew off any of the loose fibers from the background.
Alright guys, so what do you think? I'm certainly liking the way this tank is turning out. There's definitely a lot of improvements that have been made over the last design, and I can't wait to get it filled with water and get it planted back up and to see it growing again. With that being said, that's enough for today's video. I think it's been long enough. I will see you guys again for part 2, where we will get the plumbing fitted and hopefully get this thing all planted up. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you next week.